Hey there, world. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Sebastian.
And as you might be able to tell, this is the widely anticipated, much wanted return of USMMTG. Woo! And today we thought we'd kick it off again with a deck tech who are going to delve into the much more serious world of Standard with Sebastian's deck tech of his Standard deck.
Yeah, so I built this Standard deck. I play in tournaments, so I constantly have one or two Standard decks going. And mine, it was built in anticipation for Gatecrash and the Shocklands. They add a few more elements of synergy that the deck really wants. But the deck attacks from a similar but slightly different angle than a lot of other decks in the format, which gives me a game plan that works, but that is a little harder to attack from opposing sideboards specifically. Right. And I'll get into that when we get there.
Okay, so you want to just delve right in?
All right, let's go.
So start with the lands?
So yeah, the deck is a black, blue, green control deck. So the land base, we only have one Shockland, but as it's fetchable, like all the Shocklands are, it keeps all of my Innistrad and Core Set dual lands come in untapped.
We have.
So I've got the full sets of all the duels, the 4-Drive Catacomb, 4 Woodland Cemetery, Hinterland Harbor, and the Overrun Tombs. 4 islands, 2 forests, and 2 swamps are my basic lands. They will be cut down as soon when I can get water graves and breeding pools. Possibly to the point where there are no basic lands in the deck. I'll have to see what cards come out and whether or not that is viable or necessary.
Okay. And then here?
And I've got the one of Nephalia Drownyard. That helps me win games against like the band control lists and the American control lists where nothing's really happening on the board.
Okay.
The creatures are dying, life is being gained rather than lost, spells are getting countered. So when you can stick a Nephalia Drownyard, you have a win condition that's very hard for your opponent to deal with. Very few decks actually pack cards that destroy the lands. That's actually one of the reasons I'm running more basics, is that the only real played answer is Ghost Quarter, which some decks, had I been playing no basic lands, and why I might keep a couple basic lands when the format shifts, is that I don't completely get blown out by Ghost Quarter.
Yeah, good idea.
The Drownyard also synergizes quite well with Tamio the Moon Sage, who is a 2-of in my Planeswalker suite. She helps cut down on early aggro. She's obviously most used for her +1 ability.
Yep, tapping things down.
Yeah, tapping down Dross Messengers, Olivia's, Falcon Rock Aristocrats, Hell Riders. Very useful to keep the big threats at bay.
Okay.
Synergizes well with Jace, Architect of Thought, who is better at dealing with the smaller threats.
4-of, yeah.
Yeah, he's my most important Planeswalker, mainly because he's primarily a card advantage engine. He draws me cards. He's often, he's often nets me, if not like 5 cards, the value of 5 cards.
Yeah. Pseudo-fact fiction. Then.
Yeah, getting a 1 out of your top 3 is better than just drawing 1, which I think is not always with them. I mean, obviously, a lot of people appreciate how powerful he is.
Have you ever ulted him?
One time in an actual tournament setting.
Yeah.
It was against a band control list, I believe, where, like I said, nothing was happening, it was a Drownyard battle, and I ended up getting to 8 and ultimating for the win. But that is not very common.
Fair.
The last Planeswalker I played in the main board is Garrett Relentless, another card advantage engine in that he creates creature tokens to allow me to attack with, and is also creature removal.
Yeah.
And he also synergizes with Thragtusk. In that I can, when he flips over, he can sacrifice Thragtusk to 2 for other Thragtusks.
Yeah.
Very useful in the aggro matchups where I play Garrick, kill one of their creatures, flip my Garrick, sack a Thragtusk, 2 for a Thragtusk, and effectively use Garrick to gain me 5 life a turn.
How reliable is it that you can flip Garrick and then use him on the next turn?
Not so reliable because he's often more kill a creature and gain some life when he takes an attack.
Okay. Yeah.
If I've got the Thragtusk out already, it can usually get blocked, and I can at least get 1 sacrifice on him. He's usually used as a wolf creation followed by a removal spell.
Fair.
It differs from game to game. But he is like a removal spell for, in the deck runs a lot of removal.
Yeah.
As you can see over here, we've got 2 Sever the Bloodlines.
Yeah.
Deals very...
getting rid of a lot of things.
Yeah, a lot of decks play tokens, whether they're 4/4 Flying Angels or 1/1 Spirits. And that deals very well with those.
We got
3 Abrupt Decays to hold off in the early game. Abrupt Decay actually hits more than a lot of people would realize. It hits Rakdos Key Rune.
Yeah.
It hits enchantments and artifacts. It hits Rune Chanter's Pike in the blue-white flash deck that was popular not too far back. It kills almost every card in the black-red aggro decks, other than the Hell Riders and the Dragons and the Vampires.
Cool.
But knocking down a Duros Messenger after it came back is pretty good, or even before.
Definitely.
And very good against the mono red deck. It's a very solid removal spell.
Cool.
And versatile. 3 ultimate price. There's so many targets for ultimate price. The Destruct monocolored creature, while we're in a multicolored block, sounds worse than it actually plays. There are many of the tier 1 major threats in the format are monocolored. And many of the ones that are multicolored, you don't want to deal with spot removal anyway. Cards like Huntmaster of the Fells, who create other creatures, dealing with a card like Ultimate Price isn't the best way to go about that anyway. For that, you might want to play something more like a Sweeper or like a Cyclonic Rift to get through for that last bit of damage when they're playing a Huntmaster just to stabilize.
Return something to their hand or overload it.
Yeah, the deck very, very consistently overloads. The idea is to get to the point in the game where you can cast that kind of mana. We also have one of Murder. This card is unusual. It's not really played very often, but it is one of the only ways the deck can deal with Olivia or Falconroth Aristocrat.
Yeah.
Olivia especially. She's monocolored, so she dodges ultimate price. She costs 4, so Abrupt Decay doesn't hit her. Sever hits her, but that's kind of slow and not an optimal use of Sever the Bloodline.
Yeah.
So one of Murder gives me an instant speed answer to
something that threat.
to the multicolor 4 drops. It can deal with that Huntmaster if I really need to. Sometimes you have to use an inefficient card to answer to a card.
Okay. Moving on.
Yeah, we're green, so we play 4 Farseeks.
Go get the Shocklands.
Yeah. If I get an Overgrown Tomb, pretty much it's always Overgrown Tomb or an island.
Yeah.
Overgrown Tomb if I don't have one on the board yet, or I need the fixing. And if I only have 1 blue source, I'll grab an island, because I've got lots of early double blue in the Jace, the Tameo, and down here we have a couple Dissipates that we want to be able to cast early on.
Good for disrupting those graveyard-based decks.
Yeah, very good one. I can put down a Jace or a Tameo or a Garruk, and then untap it, protect them.
Yeah.
Syncopate, also similar job, a little earlier, and it has the same exile effect. So those are my main board counter spells.
Yeah.
And then the creature base is the 4 Thragtusk that we touched on earlier, to help fight against the aggro.
3 Wolfear Avenger.
Wolfear Avenger is a personal touch of mine.
Yeah.
He acts like another removal spell with the flash.
Yeah,
and he's extremely difficult to kill. I used to be playing with Desecration Demon, but didn't like how he was. He essentially didn't have flying. He could be blocked by any creature, and he wasn't the type of card that this deck wants. The Avenger, on the other hand, has done nothing but impress me. He does not die, ever. He survives the Supreme Verdicts. He can block the larger creatures. He trades with Hell Rider, which is incredibly important right now.
Yeah.
So he's just an effective, and he doesn't even trade with Hell Rider. He can regenerate. I'll often Farseek on turn 2, turn 3 play something like a Jace, and then turn 4 be able to play my Wolfear and have the regenerate mana.
Yeah.
I also have one of Grizzlebrand. Not much needs to be said about him. He gets cast and he wins the game usually, or he gets removed right away. But
either way, you just either won or got rid of one of their answers.
And often there's no card besides a counterspell that can get rid of him and stop me from drawing 7 cards as long as I have the life to do so.
Fair, yeah.
And I'm of the opinion that the 1 life point that matters is your last one. So unless I'm playing some kind of a deck with Snary Spear or Hell Rider or something, I will go pretty low onto a Grizzlebrand, and it usually does secure you the victory as long as you play carefully. I have one of Snapcaster Mage to get more value out of the versatility of removal spells that I have.
Yep.
He also acts as another counter spell, another Farseek if necessary, another Cyclonic Rift, and so on. and a 1 of Temporal Mastery.
Extra turns.
It's a 1 of, it synergizes well with the Planeswalkers, of course. Very well with Grizzlebrand. Lets me get attacks in while still being able to block. Sometimes it's almost like a 2 or 7 mana, give all your creatures vigilance for a turn and draw a card. Which is often what this kind of deck wants, so it can put some pressure on without opening myself up to a counterattack.
Okay.
So that's the main board. And
Let's quickly go over the sideboard then.
Yep. So we've got 2 Death Ray Shamans.
Right.
They fight against the Reanimator builds. Decks that are playing opposing Death Ray Shamans, if I can stick one as well, it really causes their decks a hassle.
Yeah.
Cool. I can always just respond to their activations with my own and steal it from them.
Cool.
Curse of Death's Hold. Against the token decks, it can either completely beat them or just turn off one of their anthems.
Okay.
A Liliana of the Veil. Very great against control matchups. She's creature removal if I need another source. She's good against Geist of St. Traft.
Yeah.
We have another alternate price for the...
Complete that set.
Yeah. I want all 4 for the mono red matchup.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of decks that play creatures that are just one color, like my deck, where it's essentially just a Gulfin Throat.
Fair.
Golgari Charm serves a couple purposes. Deals with the enchantments like Detention Sphere and Oblivion Ring. It regenerates from wrath effects. It can kill tokens. So the charm is very versatile, and I like it as a 2 on the side.
Cool.
I run 2 Evil Twin. Again, very good against the Geist, and very good against the haste creatures that are seeing so much play lately.
Yeah.
I can copy your Falconroth Aristocrat or your Hellrider, and then immediately, assuming I had the mana up, tap 2, tap it, kill yours. So now I have the Falconroth Aristocrat, and you don't.
Very nice.
A 1 of Tree of Redemption. With Black-Red aggro being so big, this card is nigh unkillable, and is a life gainer.
Yeah.
So 13 toughness, very hard to get over, and so he blocks for days, and when I get under a certain amount of life,
you can just swap
shoot
it out.
back up to 13.
Yeah, that's nice.
Again, for the same matchup that Death Ray Shamans come in, the Appetite for Brains usually come in. They discard, and not only discard, but exile, so they can get rid of those Angel Serenities and those Grizzlebrands that want to be reanimated.
Nice.
The Thrag Tusks, and so on.
A lot of big threats.
A lot of big threats. Terminus.
Yeah.
To get rid of Terminus gets rid of my Wolfear Avenger. It's disruption against those sort of decks.
Most definitely.
2 of Negate and 1 of Dispel to finish off the countering. The counters in the board.
Yep.
So I can board into a deck with 6 counter spells and 1 Snapcaster Mage, and help again fight through. Usually for the Bant control, fight through their counters. And essentially the game plan there is to stick a threat, whether it's a Thrag Tusk or a Wolfear Avenger, or even a Grizzlebrand, and protect it with your charms so that rats don't kill it, your counters to help fight it through, and and your discard to stop any incoming threats that might be aimed at them.
Okay, so it seems like it has a good versatility in terms of answering things and creating its own threats. I mean, at Grizzlebrand, you got Thrag Tusk.
Yeah, it does a lot. The only issue I have with it is that the deck does not yet have Watery Grave, which would allow me to play Mutilate.
Yeah.
And the deck really wants a sweeper. So for anyone watching this who wants to build a deck like this, as soon as Gatecrash comes out, get your Watery Graves and put in, get your playset of Mutilates. I plan on putting 3 in the board, possibly 4.
Okay.
Probably 4, really, depending on how the format turns out. Because with a sweeper, the deck really comes together.
Okay. Well, this looks really awesome. We got to get going, so I'm Taylor. This is
Sebastian.
And this has been the triumphant return of USM MTG. Catch you later.